Isn't it so crazy how many life insurance options are there when you start shopping for life insurance? Like all these like whole term, index universal life or variable life or variable universal life, AD&D, individual policies, group policies. There's so much to choose from. So I hope this helps you. Um, with this decision about getting some life insurance, because sometimes it can be very overwhelming and then it kind of leads to not make a decision and kind of just kicking the can down the road and waiting until something happens, and then you actually pull the trigger. So I'm gonna explain just a basic kind of framework or formula that I believe in when it comes to some foundations of life insurance. And here's what it is. It's super simple. It's using, you've probably seen this, but 10 times of your income in term life coverage first of all. But then I like to add a small whole life insurance that will last you the rest of your life, right? So in your prime earning years, you have a huge coverage, but then, as time goes, it's going to drop off. After you've already paid off your mortgage, your kids are grown, into retirement, you already have a bunch of savings, but you just have locked in this policy that you bought, 20, 30, 40 years ago, that's dedicated just for some final expense. That's a that's the solution. And then the rest of this time on this, I'm gonna explain like why I think that's helpful, right? So there was one time that my wife and I we sat down with a life insurance agent, and from my recollection, some of the initial questions were very out of order. One of them was just like, "How does $1 million sound okay?" Or "How much have you budgeted for this?" And then when a life insurance person asks me that, how much have you budgeted for this? Like, why do you start with that? Why don't you start with what do you have in retirement savings at the moment? How, do, are you a homeowner? Do you plan to buy a home? Some questions that are like long-term questions. Do you want to save for kids' retirement? That's what we want to find out first, right? Before, and we kind of figure out how much we need, and then we go to, okay, well, this is how much what you need, this is how much it costs. Can you afford that, right? Instead of saying how much do you have, and then let's see how much you can get with how much you have, right? So I thought that was a little bit backwards, but so if you already have these, if you already have your term insurance and your whole life insurance, you have a good foundation and you have extra money, I would suggest talking to a financial planner and figuring out how to invest that money and put that money away that's actually going to grow larger for your retirement years. Okay. So let's take this on. 10 times your income strategy is the purpose of this is to have coverage that's affordable and that could replace your income for 10 years, that could maybe pay off a mortgage, right? So that is why the 10 times your income strategy works, right? So let's just say, for instance, you earn $40,000 a year, and that would put you times 10 at getting a $400,000 policy, let's just say for 30 years. So the thought process here is that that amount, that $400,000, will pay off a average American's house. If one of the the husband or wife were to husband, the spouse or the insured were to pass away, and that's going to be a substantial savings for the person that survives, right? The mortgage is paid off, so they don't have to pay that $2,000 monthly payment anymore. Life's going to be a lot easier when it comes to the financing part. So then on the other side of that, the thought process is 10 times of your income to be able to provide for your family for the next 10 years after you pass away. And that could be, when it comes to replacing your income, who's depending on your income? Is it your spouse? Is it your kids? How long do you need that? How old is your youngest kid? If your youngest kid is only 15 years old, they're only going to be in the house for another 3 to 7 years or so. So if you want specific money to cover them, get a shorter term policy, maybe 10 years for that particular reason. But if it's for your spouse, and say in this scenario you don't have a mortgage, so you're only concerned about income replacement, figure that out. Ask yourself, how long do I want to provide this income replacement, and who's it going to be for, right? So if you and I end up talking, if you and I end up talking, we will go through these scenarios and ask you these questions. So the other part of the equation is a small whole life policy, so that you'll always know that that expense is taken care of. It's done. It's taken care of. So most people in the United States, when they pass away, most people have less than $10,000 in their savings account. And maybe they didn't plan it that way, but it happened. And you never know really, what's going to happen. Even if you do have retirement savings, say you have $1 million or $2 million saved up for retirement, or more than that, but what if something happens? What if you or your spouse gets diagnosed with cancer, some type of terminal illness, and you need to tap into that savings or retirement? You're gonna do that, right? You're gonna use that money, the resources that you have, to put into treatment for some type of cancer or something like that. Or what about just the more common thing that people don't prepare for, long-term care? You or your spouse are old enough, but maybe you need some assistance at home to make food, to get dressed, to use the restroom. That's considered long-term care. Who's gonna pay for that? Right? That's going to come out of those retirement savings accounts. And hopefully there's enough there that it's going to last you. It's not going to completely deplete, so that you're able to help cover that burial or that funeral service as your final expense. So the idea is that having a small policy will fit that solution, will fit that problem, and provide a solution. A small policy between maybe $10,000 to $30,000, depending on how much you can afford, and that really just puts a definitive safety net in place for you, and so that you always have that policy set aside for that final expense, even if your assets are depleted, they've used up all your cash and everything. You'll always have this in place to protect the people that survive you after that. So with that being said, if you'd like to work with me, if you'd like to talk with me, send me a text message or email me. I'm going to put my number in the description below, and then just text me and say life. You don't even need to say your name or anything, just put life. And what I'll do is I'll reply and with a link where we can connect with each other. Or if it's email, and the email you can type a little bit more, and I'll put my email address in the link below. But I have a link also where I can put my calendar on there, and then you can just schedule a time for us to talk. Okay. So thank you for taking a minute to watch this. And if you have any questions, or you'd like me to talk about something else, go ahead and leave a comment, so I can take care of that. Thanks so much.